Greetings and welcome to another edition of KSOL Black Talk Radio, the new black media. Well, a black woman says a white passenger refused to sit next to her on a flight. She says that she's so embarrassed and heartbroken. Now, this story just came out today, July 1st, 2019. You would think that a story like this would have come out back in, say, the 60s or 70s maybe, but in July 2019, we still have stories just like this. Well, a Spirit Airlines passenger is outraged after being forced to find a new seat when a white woman refused to sit next to her. An objection, she claims, was made because she is black. The victim claims, quote, "I had to ask someone to switch seats with me because she didn't want to sit by a black woman in 2019. Tiara wrote in a series of Facebook posts detailing her experience. Tiara unexpectedly boarded a flight from Vegas to Chicago with Spirit Airlines after her flight from Detroit was delayed for 12 hours. When she tried to sit down, Tiara claims an unidentified white woman sitting next to the open seat assigned to her refused to let me sit by her." Now, I don't know about you listening to this broadcast, but how is it possible that a person can refuse to let you sit down in an empty seat? There would have been a fight. And family, before I continue, Tiara posted her experience on Facebook, and she also posted a picture of this little wench who was being racist, mean-spirited, and just plain, what's the word I want to use? There's so many words we can use for trash like this. And nonetheless, this is the culprit. She's the one that was being very rude, if I could say that. But nonetheless, she refuses it to the point that she is arguing with the flight attendant about how she is not going to let me sit by her. Tiara wrote in a Facebook post, quote, "This 4-hour flight is about to feel like a lifetime. I'm so embarrassed and heartbroken." Well, why would you be embarrassed, Tiara? Why? As a black woman, you are strong. Why would you be embarrassed over the actions of a low IQ wench? I'm just using that term to not call her other words that, the fragile little people will complain about. But she is very trivial. She's very trashy-like. So why would you feel embarrassed and heartbroken over the actions of some woman like this? Why? Why would you feel that way? You shouldn't feel embarrassed. If anything, you should feel pity for someone like this. Feel sorry for them that they're so effed up in their life that they have to treat you that way. That they're that way themselves. It's something to be said about people like that. But according to Tiara's account, she was forced to ask other passengers to switch seats with her instead. Now, before I continue, let me say that Spirit Airlines, they messed up royally, because instead of this being a teachable moment and doing the right thing, of course, they would have her, the passenger, a black woman, start to ask other passengers if she could switch seats, when that's not right. that white woman that was sitting there being really nasty and rude and mean-spirited, Spirit Airlines should have escorted her and her husband off the plane and allowed other intelligent, good people to continue on their journey. But no, Spirit Airlines, of course, they couldn't even do the right thing. And so let this be a lesson, because it appears that a majority of these airlines are not black friendly. I think, in my opinion, that traditional black Americans, American descendants of slaves, I believe that all black people, whether you are an immigrant even, we should be choosing another method of travel. If it means taking these racist airlines, because, you know, I would put out in the universe that these airlines that don't do the right thing, well, it would be so sad if something happened to one of your flights. It would just go to show the kind of karma you would have coming back your way for not doing the right thing in the first place. Karma's a bee, and then it comes back and plops you out of the sky, perhaps. But I digress. Getting back to this little wench here, I think people should take a good look at her and her husband or partner, whoever he is, traveling with her, and expose them. If we are going to make America great, as we say, then it's time that we start doing the right thing and exposing these people, putting them out on Front Street, and then making them accountable. And this woman right here, along with her traveling mate here, they both should have been kicked off this flight, just like so many other people who happen to be people of color, though, have been kicked off flights. But see, you guys have this thing that I've been talking about in my videos called white fragility. It's speaking about the privileges that you guys have that you always like to deny. Well, here's another example of those privileges that you guys get. You don't get kicked off the planes. No, you get a chance to sit there and then tell other people that they can't sit in the empty seat next to you as if you own this plane. You couldn't have done that to a black man. Not at all. It would have been a different story had you tried. Well, at least a real black man, that is. But I digress. According to Tiara's account, like I stated before, she was forced to ask other passengers to switch seats with her instead. The woman later claimed she took issue with Tiara sitting next to her because, quote, she thought the seat was going to be empty. Man, the words that I want to call this lady and people like her. And see, YouTube, they're being so fragile with white, viewers that now they're just, trying to target us when we say even the slightest little things about them, it seems. The white fragility is real. But she sits here on this plane with her eyes closed, and she gets to continue on her flight as a racist. That's problematic. So she claims that she thought the seat was going to be empty. I don't know who paid you, but you should, yeah, you should be bankrupt. No one should be paying you to think, because you don't. And now that you've woken up, you found out that you're wrong when you think. However, she points out that the woman, quote, allowed the young white college student to sit next to her with no issue. So Tiara had to watch this wench allow another person sit next to her who happened to be a white college student. Now you tell me that ain't racist. See, the thing is white people try to play stupid. They act like they don't know what racism is, and they know good and well what racism is, and that's why I can't waste my time with them much. The only time I'm going to waste with them is by putting them in their place when they try to troll me, just so I can show them that I'm going to give you a taste of your own damn medicine. But I digress. Although flight attendants thanked her later for being a, quote, team player. Yeah, because black people are always being team players. Tiara was outraged that she was the one who was forced to move instead of the passenger she claims was being racist. Exactly. So in other words, instead of Tiara, who was the victim in this case, instead of her being allowed to sit where she was assigned, they allowed this little racist wench to stay in her seat and be arrogant, mean-spirited, and rude. She was practicing her white supremacy racism. So Tiara writes, quote, I shouldn't have needed to switch seats to accommodate her choice of what race she wanted next to her and her husband, she wrote. Exactly. You shouldn't, that's why you shouldn't feel embarrassed or heartbroken either. You should feel pity and sorry for these trifling little pieces of work. It's trash like this that just makes America so stinky and filthy. Trash like this. But anyways, she went on to criticize Spirit Airlines, with good reason, for not escorting the woman off the plane after blocking her seat and allowing the unidentified woman's comfort to take precedence over her own. Exactly. They allowed her to remain comfortable. That's a thing about white fragility. They have to remain comfortable. So, quote, why do I have to be a team player to someone who is obviously putting her racist cards on the table? Tiara wrote on Facebook. Exactly. Why should you have to be the team player for someone obviously who's a racist and putting it out there? Why should we have to be the team players? We shouldn't, and you should not have. Tiara, I'm going to lastly read your Facebook post because I think it's interesting because you do share your thoughts and you put it very clearly, and I'm going to read it exactly the way you wrote it. Tiara writes on June 25th at 9:42 a.m. So my flight was delayed from Detroit for 12 hours. Luckily, I catch a flight from Vegas to Chicago. I board the Chicago flight, and the open seat they gave me was next to a Russian woman. Lo and behold, this bitch is a Russian woman. I've heard how foul and nasty some of them can be. Yep, they're racist too. So, white people, I want you to take notice of this. She's Russian, but she's still white skinned. This is what we mean when you guys try to deflect the conversation and go, oh, but that person is from Venezuela. Oh, but that person is from Spain. Oh, but that person is from bumfuck Egypt. It doesn't matter where they're from. If they have skin that looks like you, we're talking about people that's just like you. Get that through your little skull. But I digress. It says, next to a Russian woman who refuses to let me sit by her. Like, refuses it to the point that she is arguing with the flight attendant about how she is not going to let me sit by her. Luckily, there were other white people on the plane who chose to switch seats with me so I wouldn't have to sit by her, with which she happily allowed. I have never experienced this before. Okay, well, it won't be a last, Tiara. Get used to this. She says, I'm so upset that I couldn't lay hands on this lady. So appreciative of the other passengers who just rallied around me, held my hand, and really prayed with me. This 4-hour flight is about to feel like a lifetime. I am so embarrassed and heartbroken. Spirit Airlines. If you were a passenger on the 9:34 a.m. flight from Las Vegas to Chicago on June 25th and you witnessed this incident that took place on flight NK446, please reach out to me. And again, that is from Tiara, the victim in this situation. So I end with saying this. Spirit Airlines, I'm going to have to call you Spiritless, because you don't know what you're doing. You handled this situation very, very poorly, and you need training classes for even your management staff. You really should be taking a course from Robin DiAngelo, who talks about white fragility. She wrote a book about it. She talks about how when she comes in to perform these conferences for companies like yours that need this type of training, you guys can't even get through the day talking about race without being traumatized. And we're just talking. It's so shameful. But even the management of Spirit Airlines, you too need a course on racism and diversity training. This is KSOL Black Talk Radio, bringing you another video, hoping you like, share, and subscribe. Peace out.